So FM21 beta just came out, and thoroughly I have been enjoying it. I've got that mixed up. I have been enjoying it thoroughly. And if you're like me doing a Road to Glory save, well, technically you can't really call a Road to Glory save when you're managing Manchester United, given that the state that they are in. But you get the point. But if you're like me, a huge United fan, and want to see Manchester United back on the top and winning trophies, avoiding the Glazers, you know, all this crap, and this video is the right video for you. I will be putting a complete guide on how to manage Manchester United that will include tactics, backroom staff, transfers, training, you name it. It's all there. It is the most definitive video on tips, tricks and tutorials regards to Manchester United in FM21 beta. So grab yourself a coffee or a tea or a drink, sit back. It's going to be a long video. Relax and enjoy. Welcome to the video and thank you for dropping by. I do stream every Monday, Wednesday and Friday. My name should be appearing on the screen now. Also, do give me a follow at Draco Evolve on Twitter. I do post updates on pictures and my achievements I've been doing, my proud achievements I've been doing in Manchester United saving the FM21 beta. As you can see with this definitive guide, I will be giving you guys, I am celebrating the treble. You can see I've won the Champions League and the Premier League and the Carabao Cup. Technically it's not a full-on treble, but to take Manchester United from where they are in the first season to what they could have they won is phenomenal. And I'll be showing you guys everything from start to finish, the coaching setup, the tactical setup, the transfers that you should make, the responsibilities, the individual trainings, etc, etc. First up is the coaching area. Now, I do know that, and I know that a lot of you guys out there kind of neglect that area or don't spend that much time in this area. But guys, this is super important for those of you that's been watching me on FM20 and some of FM21 streams. You guys know I spend a very long time in my coaching areas for a couple of reasons. One, to get rid of crap. You know, there's a lot of crap coaches in the squad. And two, to set yourself up for success, to give yourself a sort of a foundation so that your coaches that you trust, who are very good coaches, can kind of implement your strategies, your approach, your philosophy, your tactics onto the game. You don't have to worry about that. So first and foremost, right, you get rid of Mike Phelan. That's a guaranteed. You don't want an assistant manager that is a defensive coach. That doesn't fit the United philosophy, right? You want an attacking assistant manager, and the guy that's your guy that's been working with me in FM20, and I won a lot of trophies if you guys been watching my stream, is Dennis Bergkamp. He is available for a free in the game. He requested for a coaching role, but give him an assistant manager role, because some of his stats like attacking and technical are fantastic, along with adaptability and determination, which means that he can literally, with the adaptability so high, determination so high, he can hit the ground running for you. You can see in the technical side, he offers you 4.5 stars in coaching. I've obviously set myself up as a 5-star coach because, you know, I'm pretty badass, but that's your preference, right? But in terms of one of the assistant manager, 100% Dennis Bergkamp. Another coaches that you need to get is Miguel D'Agostini, who offers you a 4.5-star tactical defensive coach, and Daniel Baldini, 4-star coaches. So those are the 3 coaches to set your foundation that will be in it for the long haul, right? If you go down below, you can see my coaching workload and the stars are minimum 4 stars. Some of them categories are going to 5 stars, but a lot of the categories are 4.5 stars, right? It is very important that you fill your coaching the quality, because you got the budget. In United, you have the budget. So you fill that up with quality coaches. One of the most important things I do in terms of the coaching categories is to have 2 coaches for every category. Now, as you start off, you only get 9 coaches, unfortunately. But as give it a week in the game and go back to the board and request more coaches, and the board will end up giving you more coaches, which is 2 more extra, which you can spread across. But you can see like my tactical attacking, I've got 2 coaches. I've got technical coaching, 2 coaches. One is a big high star, 5-star or 4.5 stars coaches, led by someone who's a 3-star at the moment, but you can eventually build them up to a 4 or 5 stars over the next of the couple of seasons. It's just to kind of share the workload and provide quality coaches for each of the categories. Now, sometimes, not sometimes, in the first season, certainly, you're not going to have enough coaches because the board only gives you 2 more extra coaches. But what you do is go to the under-23s coaches and recruit some under-23 coaches, because what the under-23 coaches provide is the coaching structure on the first team coach as well. So for example, if I go to David Garcia, who I've signed for under 23s coach, yes, he's training the under 23s, but he's also in the first team coaches, who provides a 4-star rating on my tactical possession coach. So you can always fill that up with other coaches, really good quality coaches, young coaches whom you can promote just like players in the future onto the first team coach. So not only you're setting yourself up for a proper coach in your first team, but you're also setting yourself up for the under 23 coaches who can train the first team coaches, who can eventually take over from these first team coaches as they start to retire in the game. Sticking on staff, one of the most important staff that you must sign in the game, like absolutely must sign in the game, much like in real life, is a director of football for Manchester United. So I always sign Luis Campos. For those of you who know Luis Campos, he's the person that discovered the likes of Martial, Mbappe. He's done fantastic work with Monaco. He was at Lille before I snapped him up, but you can see his stats, you can see his determination is in at 16. Man management doesn't matter, but judging player ability and potential are very high, 18. Negotiating is 18, which we'll come back to because that's important. But one of the most important things is his game knowledge. You can see he does France, Portuguese, and Spain, who produce some of the best players in the game. But he also has South American knowledge, like Argentina, Colombia, and Brazil. Especially Argentina and Brazil, he has a very high knowledge of that part of the world. And for those of you that love the South American wonder kids, he is your guy. But Luis Campos is the one that you must sign for a director of football role at Manchester United. Now that you got your basics set up, your foundation set up, you go to staff responsibilities. Now, this is quite important to me. This is more like making the game flow, because I don't want to be going through 50-60 press conferences a season. That's boring. Obviously, it's up to you guys. If you guys enjoy that, feel free to do that. But in terms of what I do with this one is I go to, say, for example, staff, right? You can see I'm responsible for a lot of the first team staff recruitment activity, because I want to take control of it, not Ed Woodward or anyone. But say in terms of the media, I give it all to Dennis Bergkamp, right? Because I don't want to, unless you enjoy that, guys, as I said, but because I don't want to kind of deal with all that side. I just want to play the game and take care of the tactical side. And Dennis Bergkamp being already your assistant manager, give him a bit of pressure, guys. Give him a bit of pressure. In terms of scouting, now this is the important one. I did do a quick video on it, so do go and check it out on my channel in the playlist. But one of the scouting thing is, by default, this will be set to 1 week. So when you do send a scout to scout a particular player, he will scout it for only 1 week, which means that you have to send the scout back again until you get a lot of knowledge. Whereas if you set it by default to until full knowledge, you send the scout only once, and that's it. One click button and the scout goes and doesn't return back until they've got the full knowledge of the players. Now, obviously, handle scout meetings and providing feedback is up to you if you want to take control of it, but I tend to give it to my director of football and the chief scouts. Over at the tactics, discard that. Over at the tactics screen, you can see the tactical briefings. I give it to my assistant manager because he's got the tactical nous of it. I don't have to take his tactical briefings because I provide the proposition, maybe the instructions in the background while in the game. Now, in terms of tactical briefings, you might come across a team that you're not aware of or don't have enough knowledge, so you have to go back to the squad and analyze it, etc., etc. Whereas if you let your assistant manager deal with all that, get a feedback from him, have a quick look and see where you need to kind of, where you need to kind of focus. Like if you're playing a Bayern, Alphonso Davies will be running up the left side. You can tell your Aaron Wan-Bissaka to kind of be relaxed, chill, and cover him. So provides opposition instruction is the one that I always take over, so I can kind of deal with the moment to moment games and let my assistant manager to deal with the overall scope of it, if you know what I mean. Transfers and contracts, so that is quite important. That's where your director of football come in. You can see that why I talked about the negotiating part on Luis Campos has to be high, because I tend to give him the under 23 coaching, discussion, 23 players, under 18 players. He takes care of all of that crap for me, so I don't have to deal with any of that. So that is a very, very plus thing to have. And going back into match day, look, I when it comes to preseason, I always deal with the tactical side, the individual training, the transfers, etc., right? I don't deal with the matches unless you want to ignore this part. But if you don't like it, have your assistant manager make him work. Let him take care of all the friendly matches, etc. And the great thing about him taking care of friendly matches is that you're giving it to assistant manager who plays by your philosophy, who plays by the Manchester United philosophy, which in this case very attacking philosophy, and he's surrounded by world-class coaches, like 4-star, 5-star coaches. So him taking care of that side will yield you good results regardless. And you can kind of sit back and take care of the important things like your transfers, etc. And you can see on the transfers and contract side, I take care of majority of it because I want to deal with what's going in and out. And let's not go to that screen. And training, again, we'll come back to the big training section, but individual training is the one that I personally look after it, along with general training. And that's it. So you set yourself up a foundation in terms of staff responsibilities, so the game flows smoothly, and your coaches, because coaches are important. Next up is the fun bit, right? You can call it a fun bit. It is the Manchester United squad. So as you can see, in my first season, I've done a couple of big signings. I got Jadon Sancho and Erling Haaland, which I will do a how-to video on how to make those signings. But generally speaking, Manchester United have a good squad. Yes, there is a lot of sort of deadwood, you can say. So I got rid of the likes of I need to go back to my transfers to remember, actually. So as you can see here, I got rid of the likes of Romero, Nemanja Matic, Daniel James, Lee Grant, Juan Mata, Jesse Lingard, Rojo, Luke Shaw, to name a few. Obviously, some of them are still out on loan, like your Andres Pereira, but I'll deal with them when they come back. But in the first season, these are the stuff of players that you need to get rid of. Because one is just deadwood in your squad. It's absolute deadwood in your squad. They provide of zero value. They stifle your youth development, because there's a lot of good youth players, which we'll come back to. But also to get some money to make those big transfers in the future and free up some wages. As you can see, I ended up signing Jadon Sancho and Erling Haaland, who are fantastic in the game, by the way. In terms of your youth setup, you can see there's some fantastic youth players in the squad. You got, in my save, it goes to save to save, but you got Ryan Bates, who's a regen that came up that is potentially a 5-star. But the one that you want to look at is the under 18s, right? Because in the under 18s, you got some fantastic talents. Shola is one player that is going to be a fantastic future in the future. Fantastic player in the future. Generally speaking, I don't tend to deal with any of the under 18s or under 23s in the first season. I just let my coaches free flow, because I know there's some of these players are still young. There's 16, 17, Joe Hugel, Mark Jurado. They're all still young. Let them settle into the squad. Let them play what they want. But the idea of getting rid of all this deadwood is so that in the second season, you can start to bring some of these youth players into the first team, give them some experience. And talking about first team, right? So if you go to training and mentoring, you can see this is an important one. I tend to have 3 categories in terms of mentoring. I tend to have a goalkeeper and a defender section, a wing back and midfielder section, and an attacking section. I kind of put them all in their place, and then as I add youth to my first team, I put these youth players in their specific roles. For example, a Tuanzebe or Mengi in the game, or Shola that you've said. Shola is a classic example. So I'm going to bring Shola into my first team, but I'm going to add him into the attacking lineup where the likes of Jadon Sancho's there, Erling Haaland's there, Rashford, Martial, Cavani, they're all there. They're all experienced players that can kind of help guide the next batch allowing you to fulfill another philosophy that Manchester United always have, is to promote youth, give them game time, not only game time, but also the training and also the mentorship required from yourself and the experienced players in your squad. That's the bit around squad and youth. There is a lot of good youth talents. That side I'll let you decide, because from game to game it depends. Some players, like in one of my previous saves in FM21, I had Tedemni Menji at 5-star, but in this save I've got him as 4-star. So it does depend, but generally a lot of the players you'll get is 4 to 4.5 stars or 5-star potentials. So use them, keep an eye on them, but also give them mentorship. That's the most important thing in this game. And also in regards to your first team squad, you've got quite a bit of good depth, but you also got a lot of deadwood. I don't have to say anything. A lot of deadwoods, you guys will know who, if you're a Manchester United fans, you get rid of them ASAP. Matic, Mata, Lingard, Phil Jones is still at the club, I believe. There you go. He's the only player that I was not able to get rid of. But fair enough, I'll keep him in the first team anyway. Give him games here and there. Build him up for the next summer. Sell him on for extra bit of money to make my desired signings. So that's the squad and youth setup and the training regime setup. Going into individual training, that is another thing that I always deal with. So I have Erling Haaland, for example, development. I always do that in my first season, and you guys should do that. Is yes, set them at your whatever tactic you're using, which I will show you guys the tactics that I use. Is I use him as a pressing forward, but additional focus in all of my players are endurance. In the first season, I don't deal with player traits or anything like that. I just give them endurance because I expect them to play and challenge in all fronts going forward. This is going to be a young squad, so having endurance helps a lot in terms of stamina, which means the players can run longer. Someone like Bruno Fernandes, who's already at his peak, who doesn't need that much because he's got stamina at 17, I tend to kind of put him towards, say, free kick training, so he kind of gets expert in those free kick areas, much like I did with Frankie de Jong in FM20, for those of you that watched me. So I always have a free kick specialist, right? So that's in terms of individual training. I tend to go through every single one and kind of set them up individually. Endurance being the main factor. With some senior players, I kind of not do endurance. I do certainly personalized training, if you know what I mean. But this is the training and mentorship and individual training section. I hope this guide helps so far. If you did make it that far, make sure you smash the like button. I really will appreciate that. It does. I love Football Manager, and I do take a lot of, I am very meticulous in terms of how I set up my game and how I approach the game and how I play the game. So I do want to kind of give you guys my knowledge to see if you guys can do a better job. Probably will. Better job than myself in regards to Manchester United. Next up is the big one. It's the tactics screen. As you can see, 4-3-3 is my preferred tactic. The tactic that gave me success so far in this game, as you can see, I won the Champions League and the Premier League with, is the 4-3-3 formation. I use that a lot in FM20. For those of you that watch my streams, I use that a lot in FM20. In fact, the only formation I used in FM20. All I do is simply just change the mentality in the game. I don't change it here. I start off the game with attacking mentality because I just want to go in there and, be on the front foot. But as the game goes on, I tend to kind of, lower down, defensive, etc., etc. If I want to attack, I go to pure attacking. But 4-3-3, that's the formation that has worked for me. I'm gonna leave the screen up while I talk so you guys can see. I don't tend to do any individual, so I just keep them in their position. So if he's a wing back, it's a wing back with the default instructions. So you can see I haven't added it or done anything with it. I just kept it as it is. In terms of in possession, you can see I'm going to leave this screen slightly so you guys can see and copy it maybe and use your own tactics and evolve it into a better tactic. In terms of in transition, if I go back to it, you can see I always do counter press, quick plays, etc., etc. Out of position is always defensive line is medium, it's not high, but attacking players are always on high because I want to kind of defensively, I hate conceding goals, so I'm kind of not risky enough, I guess. but it does work for me. It always works. One of the most important positions in this squad is, for me, for those of you know me, is this area. Defensive midfielder. This is the most important player for me because he not only shields my back four, but also steps up here, right here, when we're in attacking, which enables this formation that looks like a 4-5-1 but turns into a 4-3-3. I have him on support. Now, the player that I normally recommend to you guys is Florentino Luis, who I use extensively in FM20. However, in this save, I plan to sign Eduardo Camavinga and see how he performs in this particular position. But this is my tactics. I tend to use a 4-3-3 tactic. I am experimenting with the 4-2-3-1, but I haven't used it enough or got any good results or decent results out of it because I have this as primary trained tactic. If I do end up doing a 4-2-3-1, which I plan to in the second season, I'll set it as primary tactic. I'll give you guys a heads up on how the results goes, so follow me on Twitter at Draco Evolve. I'll be posting screenshots on it, but this is the tactic screen. This is what I do, pretty basic. I keep it like that. I don't deal with individual tactics. I just have players training for these particular positions. Next up is the fun bit, the transfers. The transfers. In Manchester United, you get £52 million to spend, right? I ended up buying and selling a lot of players, but I ended up buying the two positions that I really wanted, which is Erling Haaland and Jadon Sancho. Again, I'll do a complete guide on how to sign these players in one season with the £52 million transfer budget. Because you can see I spent a lot of money on these guys. A lot of it is, as you guys know, a lot of it I deal with like installment payments, so it kind of saves a bit of money, so I can kind of go and spend money on other players. But these are the only two players I've signed. Nicolo Rovello is one of the players that I've signed. He's the new wonder kid in the game, a midfielder, a one for the future. For those of you that watched my video on, you know, midfielders, top 5 midfielders to sign wonder kid position, he is definitely one of them. Do go and check it out. It's got quality stuff on it. But you can see that Erling Haaland and Jadon Sancho is the first players I signed in the first season at Manchester United. Obviously, we need a right winger. Jadon Sancho is the one that solves that for you, hands down. So that's one signing that you need to make. However, a centre-back, I kind of skipped because I love Erling Haaland. But one of the things that you have to sign is probably a centre-back. Only because it's very light there. You know, Eric Bailly is injured, Phil Jones not good enough, Rojo I sold, Smalling's gone. So it just leaves you with Harry Maguire and Lindelof as your main guys. Obviously, you can use other youth players like I did with Teddy Mengi, which will develop him. Tuanzebe, again, will develop him to kind of plug the gaps. But generally speaking, if you do set up your coaching staff well, they will do decent for you. But you can, for yourself, you can avoid an Erling Haaland. I think that is a bit of an overkill because I got Cavani, Martial, and Haaland in the same position. But you can avoid an Erling Haaland and go for a pure centre back. Again, the recommended centre backs I give to you is Todibo is definitely one of them. Diot is another one. And you can also check out my top 5 centre backs in the game. Wonder Kids, that 5 years on, how good they are. It should be coming up at the top, so do go and check it out. But generally speaking, Jadon Sancho is a must. You know, you always have to sign Jadon Sancho, and he's quite easy to get in the game. But Erling Haaland is someone that I've signed in the first season just as an overkill. And looking at some of the results, like Erling Haaland, he scored 43 goals in 51 appearances. Jadon Sancho, 44, 16 assists, 16 goals, 14 assists. So if I just filter it by goals, you can see Anthony Martial even bagged in with an 18 goals. Bruno Fernandes 17, Marcus Rashford 17. You can see in terms of the results, it does give you a lot of results. In terms of assists, Bruno Fernandes is up there, Jadon Sancho, Alex Telles, Paul Pogba. You can see that with these signings and the tactics, players do perform. And if you set up example Pogba, Mezzala attack, who is Mezzala attack right there, set them up on individual training, they will give you the results, and you can see the results being there. In terms of the schedule, I have lost my first game in the Champions League group stages against Real Madrid 1-0, but then I went on an unbeaten run all the way up until January, who I lost 3-0 against Liverpool, which was painful. Then I had a bit of a rough January, you can say, only because there was a lot of games from December to January, and the quality of my players are not there yet. I normally use 2-3 transfer windows to set up my squad properly, but this is just a basic first season squad, what I did with them. But then you can see I went on a massive run. I barely lost in February. Had fantastic results along the way. 4-2 against against Arsenal in the Carabao Cup final. I went out on penalties to Liverpool in the FA Cup semi-final. But you can see Juventus, I absolutely destroyed them in what, 8 goals in both the legs. Not 8 goals, sorry. 6 goals in both the legs. Absolutely destroyed Marseille, Juventus. Faced Atletico Madrid in the final, and won 1-0. And that's your results, guys. It's not the perfect results, but it does give you a lot of leeway, because at the end of the day, all the coaches, the players that you sign, the backroom staff, it's all about adaptability. It does take time for them to adapt, because some of them don't even know English, so you have to send them on language duties. But first season, if I achieved this in the first season with one arm tied, you can see, on the second season I should be doing a lot more. I am going to be making a lot more changes, like more signings, more outs, because there's a few players like Fred I don't need, Pogba I don't need. I'll be kind of filling them up with the youngsters coming into the squad. And that's it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the complete guide to Manchester United in FM21 beta. This is what I generally tend to do in the first season. I hope it did help you. I talked about the tactics, the transfers, the staff, the responsibilities, the mentoring, the individual training. I did say to you guys it's going to be a long video, but you can see the results. Once you set up that, I don't have to worry about, tactics or individual training or coaches for 8-9 seasons whilst playing the safe. I can just carry on playing the game, and enjoying the game. At the end of the day, we want to play as much games as possible. For me, I don't want to deal with these press conferences, etc. But that's it. Make sure you smash the like button, guys. I would really appreciate it. Do let me know in the comments below, did this guide help you? Is there any particular changes that you will make to this guide? Do you enjoy the tactics? What sort of players would you recommend me signing in the second season to improve my squad and the results further? And as always, guys, I catch you guys in the next upload, and take care.